Hello and welcome to Chess Please. Now, I want to start this video by saying I have never cheated in a game of chess and I have no intention of starting anytime soon. But that does not mean I'm above playing some dirty, tricky trappery to try to get a win in a lost situation. I'm not talking about wasting anyone's time. I'm not talking about getting mouthy in the chat. I'm talking about using some desperate sort of Hail Mary, maybe a little bit unsportsmanlike tactics to get the win in the end. I'll show you what I mean, and you can decide for yourselves whether you think this is all above board and good, crafty gamecraft, or whether you think it's actually poor sportsmanship. So, this is a game I played recently, again in the 1900s, so relatively high rated game. We're on good form at the moment. We play a Benko Gambit, which again all goes to plan at the start. We're just developing our pieces. The idea with the Benko Gambit is we're looking to maybe give away a pawn, maybe not, depending on how our opponent responds, but opening up the queen side to start to rain down some fire there. That's the theory, and it doesn't go to plan for us because of what I would call is I would say a mouse slip, but it was probably more of a brain slip. So in this case, I wanted to play this pawn pushed up 2 squares to try to crack on in and maybe open up the queen side. We're not going to take the queen, but maybe open up the queen side, get these open files, and play our Benko chess. But for whatever reason, whether it was just my uncoordinated fingers or uncoordinated mind, instead of pushing this pawn up here, what happened on the board and what I did play was moving our bishop here. So again, I don't know if it was my fingers that were at fault or I was just a little bit spaced. But we did not mean to move our bishop here. And our opponent takes back, and that's just a free bishop. And in a position like this where we're already like pretty defensively poised over here, we really didn't need to lose that attacking piece for absolutely nothing. I would much prefer to trade it off for one of theirs. C'est la vie. And you would probably be forgiven for resigning from here, but that's generally not how I like to play. I do like to scratch and scrape and claw and just try to fight out any sort of resistance we can and make our opponent prove that they can win this, what should be a relatively simple position. So we play on, and that's not the unsportsmanlike thing that I'm talking about, though some people might be watching me like, oh, it's a little unsportsmanlike to play on. I disagree, make them prove it. If they're winning so much, it should be an easy enough game to win from here. And again, I'm not wasting their time, I'm just playing with my clock. So we get our queen onto the open file here. At this point, we're just treading water, we're just trying to stay alive, there's no real plan here. But I do want to keep my queen on the board because with a queen on the board, you've got a chance. Same with a knight. If you got a knight, you're in the fight, is what they say. And if you got a queen, you're definitely in the fight because you can come up with some sort of quick checkmating attack. In this case, it doesn't look particularly likely, but the plan is keep the queen alive. We get a rook onto the open file. We double the rooks. Don't really see much hope for these rooks. Again, they're well met here on the open file. So that's not really where any sort of counterplay is going to come from for ourselves. It looks like that's just going to be a trade-off. So we'll do that at the opportune moment. We get our knight out of here. Again, this is like a little bit of a nothing move. It allows our opponent to take that piece. We capture back with the king, which is another mistake. Our opponent moves on to this lovely open dark square diagonal. We block with the pawn. Yet another mistake. We're on a heater today. Because this traps the knight. The knight can't go here because it'll get captured. The knight can take this pawn if it wants. It will also get captured. So things really looking grim for the gang here on the dark side of the board. But we play on nonetheless. So we say, okay, finally it's time to trade off these knights. Maybe just get a little bit more air for a clanger to happen for our opponent, for some sort of mistake. We again trade off that knight because may as well get a pawn rather than nothing for the knight. Pretty spacious reasoning at this point. We are dead lost, and it is in these dead lost positions where I do recommend these kind of dirty, tricky, trappy plays. And I play a move here which again is probably a little bit disrespectful to our opponent because it has a very simple refutation, and 9 times out of 10 our opponent spots that, but we're after that 1 time out of 10. And thankfully in this case it happens. So the move we play is we slam our queen in here, queen to a1, and on the face of it and what we're hoping our opponent sees is this is just a spite check. This is just, listen, that's the only move they have, causes a little bit of ructions for our king, and our king has to move out of the way, which it does move out of the way, but that's exactly what we were hoping for and what we were hoping they missed. And again, the bit that's maybe a little poor sportsmanlike is we were hoping they would miss this, which is not a great way to play chess. It's not a great way to make a plan, is to like hope that your opponent just does not see the very, in some ways, obvious refutation of capturing back their queen. And when we do capture back their queen, they resign on the spot. Probably a little bit of shame in there. They had 2 knights, and we're only 3 points of material up, but it does look pretty grim. These knights aren't really going to defend each other. The king's not going to get over here in time to defend this, so we're probably going to take at least this pawn, if not this knight. And it is looking pretty grim for our pawn. So they resigned here. Again, I don't begrudge them that. I don't think they shouldn't have done that. But if they played on here, again, I would have honoured it, of course. So what is your take on things? Do you think that is actually poor sportsmanship, doesn't have any place in the game? Or do you see it more, like I see it, as a kind of a Hail Mary, a sort of a crafty, hey, it's the onus is on them to spot this kind of move? I reckon if I played this over the board against someone, they would be absolutely furious with themselves, and then probably me immediately afterwards. But thankfully I am a keyboard warrior and we play online, so no repercussions came my way. Let me know what you think in the comments. Poor sportsmanship or crafty gamecraft? That is going to be all from me today, folks. Please feel free to subscribe and stick around, help me grow the channel. And as always, enjoy your chess, whether it be clean or dirty. Have a good one.